Hey guys, my name is Justin and welcome to Hellsboro, where we care about the design behind designer luxury. And if you do too, make sure to subscribe. So for today's video, I'm in the mood to celebrate my favorite time of year, and that is Christian Girl Autumn. I wanted to recommend 5 bags in honor of Caitlin Covington, the founder? She's the person who this is all kind of like based on. But what I'm gonna do is recommend 5 bags that'll get you ready for sweater weather. So a lot of the brands that I'm gonna talk about today aren't typically the brands that I talk about. I thought that I would push myself out of my comfort zone so you could get into yours. Let's get started. Alright, so the first bag I wanted to talk about is from Chloé, and it's called the Marcie Double Carry Bag. Is that what it's called? This bag is a zippered tote style in this really nice, like, tan, toffee, chestnutty kind of brown. But for me, what makes this bag perfect for Christian Girl Autumn is these, like, multicolored fringes that are, like, dangling down from that front flap on the back. So the Marcie already has that kind of like earthy, boho-esque kind of feel to it with the decorative saddle stitches, the little, what it's called, it looks kind of like shoelace things at the end of it with, of course, like the flap and then the kind of hardware that it has. But then this specific one that has these wool thread fringes hanging from the bottom flap of it, not only is it the color, but the texture that adds, as well as a little bit of movement, and just the idea of fringes to me is already very like Western. You get that kind of like Americana feel to it, and I feel like that's kind of one of the important things for this kind of style. I don't know, it's a very like American thing to like enjoy autumn in this way, I think. The next bag I wanted to talk about is from the Row, and it's called the Everett Bag. I know it's like completely different from the bag that we just talked about, but this is basically a tote bag that also has the feature of having like kind of this fold over top. At least that's the way it's styled on the website. But then the idea is like you can carry it like a large clutch, putting your hand over it and then through the handle underneath to kind of carry it in this second way. And I honestly think that's how I would carry it a lot. So I know what you're thinking, you're like, it's so plain. How does it give that like Christian Girl Autumn vibe? But this is exactly where it comes in. For me, Christian Girl Autumn is not necessarily about showing off or showing out, but doing what makes you happy. And if you're a little bit more of a minimalist, a little bit more utilitarian, this bag makes a lot of sense. You want something with a little bit of style and a little bit of versatility. You can carry it in a more stylish way by holding it as a clutch, but then it also has that handle. And then this beautiful like taupey color. It's a little bit on the cool side for Christian Girl Autumn, but I still think that because it is this browny, grayish kind of color, it still feels very autumn. And I don't know, there's something about the simplicity of this bag where it basically is just a tote bag. In a way, you could carry any tote bag like this, but the way that this one happens to be constructed with the gussets going in on the sides at a specific point for like the fold over to become easy, to me that's like some simple engineering that feels very like if Little House on the Prairie was like in the 21st century and also not on a prairie. I don't know, like very like that. Does that make sense? I've never seen the show. This next bag is from Marni, and it's called the Venice Small Buckets in black leather with fringes. I was right. As I mentioned before with the Marcie from Chloé, to me fringes gives that very like Americana vibe. But then there's a couple of things that stand out about this bucket bag. The first thing is that this bag being in black kind of gives a little bit of an edge, but not too much of an edge. I think a lot of the time when we think about fringe, we think of like a chestnut or like some sort of brown leather, and that kind of makes it a little bit more earthy. Black leather can often be kind of cold and off-putting and a little edgy for some people. So combining that with like the homeliness of that Americana feel of the fringe, I think kind of warms up the black in a way through texture and movement while offering a little bit of style and edge because of the black leather. Secondly, the little top handle that's made out of this like tortoiseshell like looking material, I think adds that extra bit of warmth that I think a lot of bags when you're trying to dress for Christian Girl Autumn kind of need. It has that warmth and like the camo-y kind of black speckling on top of this translucent, like deep caramelly mocha-y brown. Resin handles, like some whatever plastic. I'm sure it's like some sort of plastic or something like that. I don't know what resin is. And then having like the little black camo-y speckles on top of it, I think adds a little bit of maturity, a little bit of warmth, and it kind of like classes it up a bit, you know what I mean? Mixing all of these things together, I think if you told me there would be a bag that looked like this, I would be like, that does not add up. I do not understand. But then putting it all together into this pretty little picture, I think it works. It's a nice blend of like cool, simple, like down-home, casual, and elegant. It's like this weird mix that I think works, so that's why I like this bag. I don't know how to say this bag name. Alright, so this next bag is from Saint Laurent, and it is the... How do you say seven in French? Un, deux, trois, quatre, cinq. So this next bag is from Saint Laurent, and it's called the Le 5 à 7 Hobo bag. Hobo bag. I am French. I don't know if I said that right. They call it a hobo bag, but this just looks like a shoulder bag, kind of like a re-edition or a pochette accessoire kind of thing. But then for me, what makes this bag so special, kind of silly, and very like, to me there's like a lot of humor, is it reminds me of like an Ugg boot in the way. So it has this kind of like suede-y outside, and then there's the little pretty like YSL emblem that like loops over the top. But then out of the top comes this very luxurious shearling. Shearling, like especially that kind of like chestnut with a cream shearling, that feels so Christian Girl Autumn to me. And having it in this little shoulder bag package that you can just like tuck under your arm. Oh, and if you're wearing like something sleeveless, it's gotta be like really comfy because you have that shearling like right under your arm. So it's like nice and warm. So one side can be nice and warm, the other side's cold, so you gotta switch it around. But then still, like, that kind of bag to me, it seems so perfect. Like, of course, it's not the same as wearing an Ugg boot, that you're gonna have the softness and the warmth of the shearling on the inside of this, like, suede boot. But you still have, like, that kind of look. And it can help, like, really elevate any of your looks to make it seem even more Christian and even more autumn for your girl time. No. It can make it feel even more Christian and more girly for the autumn season. Alright, and the last bag I wanted to talk about is actually from my favorite brand. It's from Loewe, and it's the Flamenco clutch, but this time it's in a Nubuck. So I know what you're thinking, how does this like artsy, frilly bag fit into Christian Girl Autumn? Well, for me, it really doesn't, when you're just talking about the shape. But the fact that they've done it in a Nubuck. So if you're not familiar with Nubuck, you've probably seen it on like things like Timberlands, things like that. It's basically a top grain leather. So like the outside, like where you kind of normally picture like bags and stuff, where it's either like that pebbled or buffed leather. It's that side of the leather, not the inside, which is the suede. It's the outside of the leather that they actually sand or buff down so that it gets that little kind of velvety, like super short threads kind of feeling on it, so it gives it that tactility. But then because it still is the top side of the leather, that's why it's a little bit more hard wearing than I think suede. But then, okay, let's go back to why this works so well for Christian Girl Autumn. And for me, I think I've said it before, but Christian Girl Autumn is a lot about tactility. It's that shearling, it's fringe, it's getting that texture and that feel. And then Nubuck to me has that kind of tactility that has this softness to it and this velvety-ish type of feeling that you don't often get from leather unless you're talking about like the suede side of the leather. And for me, because the Flamenco already has this kind of like voluptuous, oversized, kind of like ripply, drapey kind of feel to it, the velvet like butteriness of Nubuck just only adds to the tactility of the shape and silhouette of that bag. And I guess maybe this last one is a little bit more for the Christian girl in autumn who wants to like branch out a little bit, but I still, you know, there's always room for growth for everyone, right? Alright, and that is all I have for you today. Let me know, are you guys Christian? Are you girls? Is it autumn when you're watching this? But no, let me know what you think. Do you think there's any other bags that would have been more Christian Girl Autumn than this? I don't know. I definitely had a little bit of trouble because Christian Girl Autumn is not my normal like aesthetic, but I definitely had a lot of fun like looking for this kind of theme. So if you like this kind of video too, like let me know. It was fun, it was challenging, but I would love to do it again if you guys thought it was interesting, but let me know. I love hearing from you guys. Alright, but that is all I have for you today. If you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe. It lets me know that you like this kind of content, that you too care about the design behind designer luxury. Until next time, ooh, Christianity, girlishness, autumnal vibe, ooh.